Ladies and gentlemen, this is All Things Pro Wrestling with your host, Danny Haro.
And Mike Larkin, CCW Capital Championship Wrestling contributor and host of On the Mic with Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are doing a review of Money in the Bank 2023 that took place last Saturday at the O2 Arena in London. Before we get to any of the matches, what were your thoughts, Michael?
Dude, I'm going to say this right now, and you and I have talked about this, and I'll quote you, Mr. Danny Haro, 10 out of 10. Every match delivered. The story of every match was great. I thought everybody put their best foot forward. One of the hottest crowds, one of the most electric and rapid fire and most just roarous crowds is the United Kingdom. We got to see the surprise of John Cena being in attendance and his interaction with the crowd and Grayson Waller, which we'll get to. But there's a lot of stuff that I look forward to talking about with you here. And I mean, Money in the Bank has had so many great memories from cashing in on the same night, from cashing all the way to WrestleMania. I mean, normally a pay-per-view like this is just like whatever, but god dang it, man, this one had such a special feel to it. I loved it.
I couldn't agree more. It was, I don't know, man. Like every match to me, like you said, delivered. Everyone stepped up to the plate. I mean, with AEW being there pretty soon, I can't imagine the pressure that the talent probably felt knowing like, hey, we have to leave our mark because they're coming soon. And they left their mark and some. So amazing show. Just as a fan, I mean, it was crazy. It was definitely crazy. I loved every single moment of it from start to finish.
I think for me, and I mean, we talk about this being the fans that we are and the respect and appreciators and supporters we are of professional wrestling. Folks, this is a show that you want to watch over and just see some of the highlights. It's like, I remember when I was a kid, right? Like SummerSlam 2003, there were so many great spots in the Elimination Chamber match. It was a summertime and you would order the pay-per-view. It would start from 8 to 11, then 11 to 2 would be the replay. I remember watching that as a fan and as a kid, and I'm like, God dang it, I want to rewatch a lot of the stuff in there from the Elimination Chamber and a lot of stuff that happened on that pay-per-view. It's shows like that where you can elicit a reaction. We talk about evoking emotions. If you have that show or that pay-per-view where you don't feel like you're just sitting there like, all right, can this be over? Let's go. This is one that you really have your vested interest in. And I think a lot of people who have not seen Money in the Bank, go out your way and see the doggone replay because you will not be disappointed.
I agree. Let's get into some matches. Let's do it. We can start off with the men's ladder match. Now, if I remember correctly, we talked about Damian Priest, but neither of us predicted him as our winners. So what were your thoughts on him winning?
First of all, it does make sense for him to win. And I think what I liked about you, first of all, that crowd was into L.A. Knight. Yeah. So much. And I was hoping that he would win, but as we saw towards the closing end of it, he got the broken arrow off the ladder, and Damian Priest is your winner. I thought each and everybody one showed up and showed out in this match, from Pete Dunne, aka Butch, doing the moonsault off the ladder. Just there's so many great ladder spots, and just everyone who put their best foot forward. You really let a lot of these guys, whether it be up and coming guys, like mind you, a lot of these guys are also NXT guys that we saw in NXT, the OG NXT, and the inclusion of Logan Paul. And I mean, from a guy like we've talked about, has just, again, it's like chef's kiss, one of the perfect Money in the Bank matches, putting the right formula and people in it. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention friggin' Ricochet and that Spanish Fly. Oh my God, through one table, and the Logan Paul landing of that was sick. You saw at the end of the match where he was bleeding right here on the shoulder. I really just enjoyed what all 7 of these men put forward. And I mean, we get the continuation now of Logan Paul and Ricochet. We get to see where LA Knight goes from here, as we saw Triple H mentioned on the press conference afterwards, that good things come to those who wait. I know a lot of people complained about the ending, but Damian Priest, man, another one who's worked his ass off to get to where he has. So, I mean, congrats to Damian Priest, but I think it was well-deserved from everybody that went to it. I really enjoyed the match.
I agree. I mean, like you said, these ladder spots and everyone stepping up. And as much as people still criticize Logan Paul, he just proves everyone wrong every single time. I mean, I keep hearing Michael Cole say, right, like, oh, Logan always proves everyone wrong when he gets into the ring. And he does. There's no, I mean, you can't debate that. I mean, yes, you can hate on him. He's getting all these opportunities. He's getting all these crazy matches. But he is showing us at the same time, like, hey, I'm working my ass off to be here, so I can be here. like you said, just the spots. I mean, the Logan Ricochet, the Spanish Fly. I mean, they didn't even have a good they didn't have a good setting to go off the ropes like that. They kind of just were like, you know what, whatever happens here, we're gonna make a memory, and they went off. Everyone was concerned about Logan. Luckily, he was okay. It looks like they were able to do what they did. I mean, like you said, Butch with the moonsault. Ricochet's 450 onto the ladder when Butch was had the sleeper on Escobar.
Yep.
Dude, crazy.
It was a crazy
Crazy.
spot. And also Logan Paul, we mentioned that frog splash that he did to Damian Priest on the ladder was another thing of beauty. Like,
Yep.
well, that's the thing too, and I think what's great about these matches too, and we cover this a lot here on the show, but it's just like the 6 men and 7 men that you had in here, everybody wanted to make their mark, and you picked a great amount of guys. Now, I did see a lot of chatter on social media because people talk. That's like, oh God, it's just a bunch of mid-carders. But I'm like, you know something? This is the matchup to really elevate one's career. I mean, we saw in the very first one where Edge won it, held it right to New Year's Revolution 06, cashed it in on Cena. We're talking about moments and memories created. There's so many ones that really flow into that. And I mean, it's one of the launching pads, like much we had with the King of the Ring back in the day that would launch one's career. For example, Brock Lesnar wins the King of the Ring 02, beats The Rock at SummerSlam 02 for the Undisputed Championship. It's a launching pad. It's the right here. It's that shooting star, man. So this is one of those matches that encompasses it. And I thought, again, we can't say enough. It bears repeating. This match was fire, and I think a lot of people, I know we're unhappy that LA Knight did not win, but I can't wait to see where he goes because I know he'll be in the right spot. But yeah, man, Logan Paul winning, and as of tonight, as this recording, looks like we're setting up Logan Paul and Ricochet for SummerSlam.
Yeah. Before we move on from that match, like you said, Damian Priest. I mean, I did mention this a little on our prediction show, and I did say he's worked to get to this point. He's done what was told to be done. His body transformation as well. Like you said, every person in that match, who if any other person would have won, they would have deserved it. Damian falls in line with those people. He deserved it. Great for him. Can't wait to see him hopefully successfully cash it and bring more gold to the Judgment Day. It was a great match. I think it was a 10 out of 10. Like you said, everyone got their spot in that match, and everyone had a highlight that you will remember for the future.
Yes.
With that being said, I think we can move on. I personally think, besides the Bloodline Civil War, right? Besides that match, I think this was the stealer. I think this was the match of the night, besides the Usos, the Bloodline, all that. The women's ladder match. I personally think I rewatched that match probably 4 times from when it happened to this recording. I'll be honest, from start to finish, I've watched that match about 4 times now. That match was amazing, entertaining. The storylines, everything was being filled in. Obviously, we saw Io Sky, which was my prediction. So I'm very happy it happened. I was marking out. I won't lie. And the way it happened, let me just get into this real quick. So we had a lot of things in here in this ladder match. We had everything from Code Red. As someone who is now in the business a little bit more, seeing that Code Red, I was scared. I just as a fan as well. I'm just like, dude, what is happening here? Like there was like a little part in there where like I think you can see Zoe's head kind of got stuck to the ladder piece right there as she's going up, and I'm like, dude, credits to her and Selena with taking that risk in general. You know, that's a ladder, and it's not. I hear this thing about, oh, in wrestling they use like fake ladders. No, dude, it's a real ladder, and it's your spine, your back, just hitting that ladder. It was crazy. I mean, another spot, you know, the legend Trish Stratus taking the manhandle slam onto that ladder. Trish Stratus,
A 40, she's 47, still kicks butt and can still take a hell of a whooping in a
I wouldn't even be at 24. I wouldn't want to do that, and she's doing it at 47.
Right.
That to me is crazy. And then like Bailey trying to cost Io the briefcase before she eventually won it. Storyline there, obviously. The handcuffs, and then Io putting them handcuffing Bailey and Becky together. Entertainment, leading up to Io winning. Like I said in the prediction show, she deserved it, and it happened, and I'm very happy for her. What were your thoughts?
So I will echo your sentiments, but I'll add a lot to it. First and foremost, I will say this. We talk about the Code Red. I loved how Michael Cole highlighted her cousin, Amazing Red, because as we all know, the innovator of the Code Red, folks, Amazing Red, former TNA X Division champion and a legend on the independent wrestling circuit, especially in the Northeast with House of Glory and many promotions.
Oh, yes.
Oh, dude, like I was scared for her just because of the positioning and the impact of that Code Red to make a perfect equation and overall kind of like example of what was very similar to it. When Kalisto, when he was in the Lucha Dragons with Sin Cara, did that Selena de la Sol to one of the Usos, I believe it was Jay on the ladder. Whew, and we can take it back. Jeff Hardy with that leg drop to Edge at WrestleMania 23. I think what we saw here was all these women who just everybody told the story of Becky's feud with Trish and Zoe, the damage control, everybody on it, Queen Zelina Vega here, the LWO, that ultimate underdog, can she pull it out? And for me, I really thought everyone, much like to equate with the men, they showed up and showed out. I think the right woman won, like the geniusness of the handcuffs, what we saw with Zoe and Trish and Becky, and then being used with Bailey and Bailey knocking her over the ladder. Now her, as we saw at the press conference, Io and Bailey, it's kind of like Lay Cool. We're both the Money in the Bank winners, but it's really no. It's Io's. And I just thought that finishing sequence was great. Becky was distraught because Becky wanted to win it. She's never won it. Bailey was like, oh, come on, really? And she just climbed over and she smiled. Io Sky, from her tenure in NXT, from teaming with the likes of Asuka, from teaming with, Kairi Sane back in NXT, she so deserves it. And I saw a picture of this day, and I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. In 2020, during the pandemic, right? Damian Priest was the North American champion. Io Sky was the NXT Women's champion. They carried the pandemic, and now they're carrying briefcases. So the right woman won. I am so happy for Io Sky.
Long-term storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, that was the match of the night for me. 20 out of 20. Love that match. Everyone showed up. Everyone showed out. And it's what we love. So moving on in that card, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship match. With the winners being Liv Morgan and Raquel. And once again, my prediction was Liv Morgan and Raquel. I was happy to see that. It was a good match. Nothing crazy besides the heel turn, which I was not expecting. And we're now hearing, like we said, they talk dirt sheets and all that. It was a random thing put into there. I mean, they planned it for a while, but storyline wise, no one saw this coming. It kind of didn't make sense. Obviously, if you've seen everything leading up to that match, we didn't really see Ronda and Shayna kind of wanting to turn on one another. So when that happened, I was really lost. I was like, what's happening here? Why is this happening? When you read the dirt sheets, obviously they'll give you the real reasoning. I think it made good. It made good for television. It made good for storyline. It made good for that moment. And then the thing that everyone's talking about was the finish with Liv Morgan hitting the Oblivion on Ronda, and Ronda just selling it. One thing I love about Ronda is that she will sell for you. I've seen compilations. She will sell for you. And when she sold that, I was like, wow. She takes what she does serious and she makes it look good.
You just put in the image as my face is like scrunching from that. For folks, if you haven't seen it, so Liv goes for the Oblivion and she hits it, but Ronda like spikes her neck on the way down. It was like, Jesus. I'll equate it to when she wrestled Shotzi and she gave her that DDT spot on Oh man, but that's the beauty, like you mentioned, of these selling here. I was not expecting it either. Like we talk about the sheets and what they say. As we know, Ronda was hurt, so I think they wanted to do it around that time, but they had to prolong it because of her injury. And again, as of this recording, we found out tonight that Shayna was tired of Ronda, coming in, and I had to work and scratch and claw to get here, and then here you are just waltzing right in. So it leads to Shayna versus Ronda at SummerSlam, which personally I'm looking forward to, because I think if anyone can topple with Ronda, it would be one of her dear friends and the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. For me, I thought it was a nice surprise. The crowd went nuts. Liv and Raquel are now the tag team champions. And again, now with this recording, it looks like the number one contenders are now Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, aka the Complaint Department. And
Yeah.
I'm excited, you know what I'm saying, to see where we go forward, because I think Liv and Raquel worked their butts off to where we were. We saw Raquel do her thing with Dakota Kai as a part of the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and working with Shotzi, working with Liv. I think, again, these women worked their butts off. They have good chemistry with one another, and just the subtleties, intricacies, and nuances. Ronda selling, Shayna being the Queen of Spades that she is, the brute, the overall brute force. I liked it. It was something different. It was unexpected, but sometimes we all need that element of surprise, and I'm sure we'll get to another surprise here in a moment, but Liv and Raquel, man, back on top.
I agree. And like a quick thing, this wasn't part of Money in the Bank, but as we found out as of this recording with Sonya and Chelsea, I think well deserved. They've been, as people call it, jobbing, and I feel like they deserved it, and they've been doing their job. So this is WWE saying, "Hey, you've done this for us. Now you get this." Whether they win or lose, I think it's a good opportunity for them to get spotlight. So I'm happy to see that they're going to be in this picture as well.
Oh, for sure. And I'll add on to that. I mean, Sonya Deville, from her days in Tough Enough, for her being an absolution with Mandy Rose and Paige, from her being with Mandy Rose and Fire and Desire. I mean, she's been around a long time. I think that she's one of the most underrated talents on that roster. And Chelsea Green, which, again, first of all, I love the fact that her Unprettier, that she calls it, is the unpretty her. I love it. And I think she's really coming into her own with this character that she's doing now. Man, again, very much well deserved. And I think if anyone, being a veteran like Sonya, finally getting that showcase and spotlight is just wonderful to see.
I agree. We had the Intercontinental Championship match with the winner being Gunther, and I think I wanted Riddle, you wanted Gunther, so you got that one right. It was a great match. I mean, any match with Gunther, any match with Riddle is going to be a great match. You put these two in the ring together, they're going to give you a match. You're not going to want to leave your seat, and that's exactly what happened with me. I stood in my seat the whole time. Luckily, I didn't leave after the match, because after the match, we got the return of Drew McIntyre. What were your thoughts?
Okay, so I like the fact that also Michael Cole highlighted, as Gunther was making his entrance, his work with NXT UK, Progress Wrestling, WXW in Germany. I like the fact that we incorporated that. And also Matt Riddle, just first of all, these guys beat the crap out of each other. Stiff shots, boots, kicks, strikes. I like the psychology, because as we saw, Matt Riddle's got a bad knee, got a bad ankle there, worked over it. And he didn't win with a lariat. He didn't with a power bomb. He won with a simple heel hook that made him tap out. Again, it's psychology after another, but also beating the crap out of each other. These two have great chemistry with one another. And like you mentioned, the Drew McIntyre return, we saw it at WrestleMania with Drew and Sheamus, so it comes back all full circle to that. And if there's anyone that has the possible chance of ending that 1 year reign of Gunther, it's Drew McIntyre. Sign me up for Gunther and Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. I mean, God dang, man, it's been like 13 years since Drew McIntyre has been Intercontinental Champion. The last time we saw it was 2009, 2010. So I'm excited to see where we go into that in SummerSlam. If it's any indication of what we saw with Sheamus, Drew McIntyre is going to be amplified to what we saw with that match between him and Gunther.
I agree. I actually, that's one of the matches I'm waiting for at SummerSlam. Hopefully, obviously with dirt sheets and all that, hopefully this is not Drew's last program. Hopefully this is them working together to get him to stay longer. He's a gem. He's someone that I think WWE needs to keep and should keep. So I hope we only see positive things continuing for Drew. Now, we also, in this match, I said it in the preview show, didn't really understand it. Obviously, there was a storyline to it, but Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio.
All right, I'll put it to you like this. I thought for what we got, I thought obviously this is filler to what we got. Again, spoiler alert, folks, as we're recording this, Brock Lesnar returned, and it looks like we're getting Cody and Brock for SummerSlam. This was just a nice little filler to it. And I mean, And it's nice to see, like, if Dominic can hang with Cody. I think he held his own. We saw, the Three Amigos. We saw the Frog Splash. We saw him going for the 619 and Cody countering to the Alabama Slammer, which would lead to the Cody Cutter and the Crossroads for the win. I think for what it needed to be, it was fine. You saw the interference of Rhea Ripley with Mommy getting involved and taking out Cody. It's just Dominic being that heat magnet, and just like, he doesn't even have to say anything. It doesn't matter what he does. People hate him, and that's the kind of reaction you want to elicit and evoke. I thought the match was fine. It was what it needed to be, is the best way I can simplify it. And Cody getting the win was the right choice. He moves now onto Brock again. And I think for a showcase for Dominic, I mean, you can see that they trust him. I mean, he wrestled Seth tonight on Raw. I mean, he's involved in the Judgment Day storyline. They have plans for him. He's listening. And I think that's important in anything with wrestling, especially, eyes and ears open, mouth shut. Listen, you know what I'm saying? You're listening to Finn Balor. You're listening to Rhea Ripley. You're listening to Damian Priest. I mean, he's under a great learning tree. And I mean, being the son of Rey Mysterio, and sitting there, I say more. So I think he's right where he needs to be. And I mean, the fact that he even got to wrestle on this card against Cody, they see something in him. Yeah,
I agree. Besides the actual match, I think London so far has the loudest woes.
Yes.
Goosebumps. I get goosebumps whenever they just let us have that moment anywhere they're at. But I think London so far has the loudest one. We've been talking about surprises. This was my favorite. Besides actual matches, this was my favorite part of the show. I've watched this more than 20 times, I think, already. The return, the surprising return of the greatest of all time, John Cena.
All right, so folks, I'm just going to put it to you like this. I don't know if you know this or not, but I am older than my co-host here, Danny. So Danny, I'm going to put him in there that I don't know if you recall this or you've seen it. I'm going to put it in there, folks. So the first time I ever saw John Cena on a UK show, so Rebellion, they did a UK pay-per-view back in 2002. This was early John Cena, Ruthless Aggression John Cena, before Thugonomics. It was him and Dawn Marie against Billy Kidman and Tori Wilson. And I remember him being wrestling there in the UK. And this was actually around the time where he was going to be fired before the whole rap gimmick started, and look at what we have now. We come full circle from John Cena sucks and let's go Cena sucks to they're singing My Time Is Now at the O2 Arena. They are cheering this man. They love John Cena, and he popped the people for it. Let's get WrestleMania to London. I think it should happen. We've seen London be a host to SummerSlam 92 with Brett and the Bulldog. Let's get WrestleMania to London. And of course, who has to ruin it? That young go hard Grayson Waller saying, hey, let's bring it to Australia. You know what I'm saying? And John, I'll put you on the Grayson Waller effect, give you that Grayson Waller rub, which I cracked up at as soon as he said that. Man, that they see something in Waller, to the fact that we're going to put him in there with Cena, because we've seen his NXT work. This dude has such a bright future. He's so athletic. He has the gift of gab, and he hung in there with Cena. He attacked him, got some shots in before taking the attitude adjustment and John Cena on the way out. I was excited. We didn't know he was going to be there. I also popped at the TikTok reference of John Cena, come again, say again. Can I have some time with my friends? Because for those who haven't seen the video, John Cena was just eating with his, again, don't do this as a wrestling fan. Guy filmed it, hey, can you say that you can't see me? He's like, hey, can I have some time with my friends? And the guy apologized. Don't be that guy. But yeah, I liked everything that went into it. So go ahead, Danny.
Well, anyone that knows me personally knows I have every single John Cena shirt to this day. From way back, I can't even remember the first one I had, but I have since so the crazy thing is, not to really get deep into this, I can't remember the year. I know I was around 4 or 5, around there. I'm with my dad, living room. We're trying to watch a soccer game. So I don't know what wrestling is. I'm 4 or 5. I think I was 4, most likely 4. I don't know what wrestling is. I really don't. Never heard of wrestling, nothing. My dad's never heard of wrestling, nothing. We're trying to find this soccer game. It's a very important soccer game for my dad. Obviously, I'm 4, so I don't really know what's going on. I just know we're looking for a soccer game. He doesn't like doing the channel guy thing. He just likes, channel. He likes to stop at every channel to make sure the game's not playing. Hits a channel, stops there. Who's coming out? It's wrestling. Who's coming out? John Cena. John Cena's coming out. So that was my first welcoming into wrestling. Just seeing John Cena come out. My dad wanted to change the channel. I don't know what it was about this, but I told him, don't change the channel. I want to watch this. John Cena comes out, he wrestles. This is ruthless aggression, John Cena. So I'm like, this dude, like, I'm for it, but I'm like, dude, this dude is badass. Like, I want to keep watching this. I keep tuning in. John Cena's my guy. I start getting like I only watched because of him back then. It was like just John Cena, just John Cena, just John Cena. Fast forward, still John Cena. Everything is John Cena. Met him at his book signing a couple of times, cried. John Cena is my idol. And like I said, my friends that know me know a big part of me started wrestling because of John Cena. A big part of me loves wrestling because of John Cena. I owe a lot to John Cena because he had me hooked. So the funny thing about this, and I don't know if people caught on to this. Well, so the commercial before John Cena comes out, it's the 2K23 commercial, and John Cena's the cover. So I kid you not, and I'm with family, so they actually heard this because I said it out loud. I kid you not. So the cover comes out for WWE 23 or whatever, and Michael Cole's like discount promotion, whatever. The face of John Cena is there, and I literally say, I was like, if only he could be on this show. I said that, and mind you, I'm like joking, so I'm like, I'm not expecting that to be the next thing. So a song plays, and I go crazy, and it's not really because he's there. It's because a lot of people say this, and it hits me every time. He's not getting any younger. And I kid you not, can ask my parents, tears are coming down my face, like during his little introduction, running to the ring. I'm like, we're not going to see this for much longer. We're really not. And he gets into the ring, and this is kind of just like bringing back memories. He gets into the ring. He still has his way with fans. He still has that connection with them. And it kind of brings me back to when I was a kid and I was popping them. He still has that with the kids today. And I imagine I was a kid back then. He still connects with the kids now. Kids still love him, and they haven't seen him wrestle. He hasn't really wrestled like that in a long time. He hasn't been in a real story. He hasn't been a weekly character in a long time, but kids still love this guy. And like you said, Grayson, I mean, I feel like that was a great person to put in there with John. And Grayson is just great on the mic. He's really one of those. There's people that can wrestle, but there's people that can wrestle and talk on that mic. And Waller has both of those things. And the whole WrestleMania in London and Australia, and then the AA at the end, everything was great. Loved the segment. Some people were like, it wasn't needed. Oh, it made Money to Bank 10 times much better. So that was great.
Well, that's the thing too, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm like, God dang, man, you need the element of surprise. I mean, at least like we talk about with the sheets, like not knowing that John Cena was there, like you talk about you popping, and just like everybody was, like you talk about. I'll be honest, I was that same kid. You give me all the John Cena shirts, the Chain Gang search from Hustle, Loyalty, Respect. I even had the CD that him and his cousin trademarked did, that You Can't See. Yeah. I was that guy, but no, that's the thing that John Cena has an influence on, especially look at his match earlier this year with Austin Theory coming out with the Make-A-Wish kids. And I mean, he gave the rub to Theory. Like the dude is just like, and it saddens me too, because it's like, man, like we're not going to see this because we really aren't. Like he's not wrestling like he used to. Now being Super Cena, being that guy, being that superhero to fans. Like, and it's sad. It's like, it's really crazy to think like Edge just celebrated his 25-year anniversary with WWE. 25 years. That's nuts to think about, but it's just like, yeah, our favorites are getting older, but it's really just that time to just cherish and see those special moments. Cause we may not know how longer it's going to be, but I really enjoyed this segment. I popped as soon as John Cena came out. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And the rest is history, man. John Cena and Grayson Waller did their thing, and Grayson Waller getting that rub. I can't wait to see him and Edge this Friday on the Cutting Edge on SmackDown. Yeah. Just the whole entire segment, it really blew it. First of all, for those that say, and I don't mean to ramble here, but for those who say it was not needed, shut up. just shut up and just enjoy the show. That's all I'm going to say. I digress. Go ahead, man.
Just a side note, I can't wait for SmackDown. I will be at SmackDown this Friday.
Oh, so wonderful!
I'm in for a treat. I can't wait, especially with the trial of the tribal chief.
Yes,
as we learned. Today, I believe we learned earlier. Yep. I think Jay tweeted. So can't wait for that. But going on with the card that night, we had Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins won, as I think we both chose Seth.
Yep.
That was a great match. I mean, overall, great. Finn is one of the best wrestlers known to man, and so is Seth. So when you put two of the best in that ring, you're going to get a great match, no matter what slot on the card they were.
So again, it's the story of 7 years in the making. I mean, these two have such great chemistry. For what they did, I think the best spots, like I said, the story of the match are just them brawling and just the sling blades and the coup de grace and the near falls. It was what it needed to be. And I mean, you had the vindication on Finn's face of just the overall just intensity of he wants to win the championship. They're not going to take this from me. 7 years, you know what I'm saying? So when he got to the coup de grace spots, he's doing like he did on Raw, the coup de grace off the chair, off the stairs, and off the table. And for me, have Damian Priest coming out midway, you know, what's he going to do? Is he going to cash in on Seth? Possibly could cash it on Finn. The implosion of the Judgment Day. You just don't know. And Damian's sitting there, and then Finn goes up for the coup de grace, and he's like, whoa, man, I wasn't going to cash in on you. I'm just watching. I wanted you to win. And then Seth hits the stomp 1, 2, 3 after such punishment. I think it really it went well. I mean, especially with what we saw tonight with Finn Balor and Damian still arguing. Are we going to see the implosion of the Judgment Day? Or is Finn going to get another shot? Who will Damian cash in on? Will he still cash in on Seth? Which I think should be the plan and absolutely should go forward with that. But God dang it, man. Great match. Chemistry builds to what we have at the Money in the Bank. I enjoyed it. I think for what we saw, it's Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, need I say more, but I think we got a one of the classics on our hands between these two. I think from what we saw 7 years ago to where we are now in 2023, the old Finn Balor's back and Seth freaking Rollins is just that good. Yeah.
I agree. I had that feeling that when Damian came out, I already as a creative mind, I already put the finish in my head. And I thought he helps Balor win and then cashes in on Balor. And now we have the implosion of the Judgment Day. So I thought that was going to happen. It didn't happen. But like you said, as we saw on Monday Night Raw today, it looks like they're heading that way. And it's very intriguing, especially because my point of view and my thought, it's too early to break up the Judgment Day. Yeah. I feel like WWE is getting used to this now, where they create a tag team and then break them up. I think it's been a little bit more than a year, or a little bit less than a year since they've been together.
Yeah, I mean, right after about like a year and a half. This is coming on 2 years now.
Yeah. So I still feel like that's a little bit too short of a run as a team. But hey, it makes for great TV. It makes for great storytelling. I'm for it. I just think it's too early, but all those guys did great, like you said, from 7 years ago to now. We definitely have seen improvement, and it was a great match overall. And then the main event comes.
Oof.
The Silver War for the Bloodline, with the winners being the Usos, which I think I predicted. I said I wanted the Usos.
Yes, you wanted Usos. I said the Bloodline. Yep.
Let me just start by saying this.
Okay.
This match was not good for anyone with a weak heart.
Right.
Because I almost had about 10 heart attacks throughout this entire match. We see this joke. Well, I don't know if people see it, but we see this joke on Twitter all the time where it's like, they need to consider this storyline for the Emmys. This has been a movie, literally. This has been episodes of a show. This has been, like, everyone's saying it, and I think it's well-deserved. This is the storyline of the century. I mean, we've had storylines. We've had rivalries. We've had family storylines. But this right here, I don't think anyone in the next 20 years can top this off. This has been the craziest thing ever, with the with the near falls, with Solo at one point kind of questioning Roman, and right there and then when he questioned Roman a little, he made that little tilt to Roman. I'm like, is Solo gonna turn right here, right now? Are we gonna have this? And he doesn't turn on him. And then, just the super kicks go to everywhere. super kick to Roman, super kick to Solo, then super kick back to Roman, then the splash off the rope. So I hear the one, I hear the two, and I'm ready for the kick out, but you hear the three, and I'm just like, no way. It happened. It kind of I could this might be a crazy comparison, but it's kind of to when Brock pinned Undertaker. You're like, what the fuck? I don't think that was supposed to happen. I don't think that was supposed to happen. And that was me on Saturday. When you hear the three, I'm like, did they just mess up? Was that actually supposed to happen? I'm kind of scared here. I want to celebrate, but Roman just got pinned for the first time since 2019. Like, whoa. And you go on Twitter after, and everyone's like, oh, Jay shouldn't have pinned him. This was a stupid idea. It had to be Jay. If anyone from the Usos were going to pin him, it had to be Jay. It wouldn't have made sense for Jimmy to pin him. And just the way the storyline is going, I mean, I prefer to have Jay pin Roman above anyone else in that locker room, because anyone else pinning Roman just doesn't make sense. And we haven't seen this yet, but we all know this is leading to Jay versus Roman at SummerSlam. What else do we want? This is what we want, main event, Jey Uso. And we're going to get it. So many close calls, not good for the heart at all. I almost had to call the ambulance about like 13 times. It was crazy. It kind of leads you to thinking, what else can they come up with? You just pinned Roman. I think that's something that Roman had to keep telling the story. Like, no one's pinned me. But now you got Roman pinned. So now what happens with Roman after this storyline is over? Or when will the storyline be over? Because from the dirt sheets, we're supposedly getting Roman versus Cody in Philly for WrestleMania. So what happens here? And then I think I heard this, and I'll agree to it. Jay pinning Roman in the O2 Arena, you just put this chip on Jay's shoulder. WWE just put the chip on Jay's shoulder. Do you really, and this might be a hot take, do you really expect Jey Uso to lose to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam? As much as I know it won't happen, I feel like you got to put that title on Jay for at least a week or two. I mean, you just had him pin Roman Reigns for the first time since 2019. For creative and Triple H or Vince or whoever's running it backstage to be like, hey, Jay, for the first time since 2019, you're going to be the first person to pin Roman Reigns. I think you got to put the title on him at least for a week or two, even if it's for like 1 or 2 nights, like have him win it SummerSlam, have it lose it the next Friday or so. I think after that, you got to keep some credibility to that, right? You can't just like, hey, you've been Roman for the first time in 3 years, but you're not beating him at SummerSlam. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it's intriguing, and I can't wait to see what happens. But I'll stop rambling now.
You're fun, man. First of all, I love the excitement. Also, when Roman Reigns was in the Shield, the first person ever pinned him when he was a member of the Shield was Jey Uso, and that was 10 years ago. And now here we are in 2023, and he pins him after losing, after not winning a match, after losing his last match from Baron Corbin in 2019. Dude, this was an emotional roller coaster ride. This was, Solo putting up the thumb. Is he going to turn? He's looking at Roman with the whole, I hate it here. England, it sucks. A bunch of idiots. Like, his selling and just working with the crowd was great. The fact that Solo Sikoa, let's just be honest here, folks, he's Umaga Jr., and he's absolutely excellent and phenomenal. He goes for the headbutt, misses through the table. And I like your comparison. First of all, that's not going out of it, because the illicit reaction of when Brock pinned The Undertaker in WrestleMania 30, and they're like, no. And everybody was shocked. This was another shocking case because you have this dominant force just after everything, after 2019 being an unstoppable force, getting pinned, and the fact that they were singing down since day one-ish, they were into the Usos. It has to be Jay. Jay has to beat him at SummerSlam, and I like the callbacks to when he kicked out and low blowed him with the kick out, like that goes back to 2020. And I think the perfect achievement here is Jay beating him, but also think of it as the fact that Roman came back at SummerSlam. He speared the Fiend. He took out Braun Strowman during the pandemic. If there's any place to beat him, it's a big 4 pay-per-view like SummerSlam, which he returned at, and that's where the whole Tribal Chief thing started. So how apropos would it be for him to lose it where everything started, and especially to the Bloodline member and a family member in Jey Uso? I mean, he's worked his butt off, and I think he's well deserving of it. But man, oh man, that main event, like Danny mentioned here, heart attacks and emotional reactions, and just it's like having an outer body experience, you know. So it's one of those matches that it pulled at your heartstrings. It's been cinema. It's great storytelling for those that were whining that Jay got pinned in a tag match. It leads to SummerSlam. That's the point. Relax, just enjoy the ride, and let's take it all the way to August. So I enjoyed it, man. And what a great way to end the show. That's all I can say. It was storytelling. It was, again, that chef's kiss at its finest, Danny.
Yep, I agree. Now that we've gone over all the matches,
okay,
what was your favorite match of the night?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot. Okay, so it's a 3-way tie for me between, actually no, 4-way. The men's Money in the Bank.
Card.
The whole card. Just let's go with the whole card. But if I had to pick one, I'm leaning towards 4. The men's Money in the Bank, the women's Money in the Bank, Seth and Finn, and the main event. All right, I'm gonna go just because it's emotional and pulling at your heartstrings. I got to go. The Bloodline Civil War was the favorite for me.
As crazy as that match was, I really got to stick with the women's ladder match. I mean, just because these women, and this has been going on in professional wrestling in general, they get criticized all the time. They can't do what the guys do. They can't do the crazy spots. They don't have what it takes. They only have their body. No, that match on Saturday was a statement. Sit down, because we can do what they can do, and we can even do it better. And with the crazy spots, the risk taking, the storylines, the storytelling, to me, that was the match of the night.
It was. And I mean, for everything. And I mean, folks, like we talked about here, well, this is the excitement that goes into these reviews and previews, because you're just doggone exciting. You don't feel like you're going through the motions like, okay, it's another pay-per-view. Here we go. We're both genuinely, we were invested in it. And I think that's that's the operative word. We were all invested into this pay-per-view. We wanted to see what happens. And now we all can't wait for SummerSlam. I mean, Drew and Gunther, Jay and Roman, Ronda and Shayna. There's going to now again, Ricochet and Logan Paul. Like, there's going to be a lot of great matches on this card. I mean, we haven't even gotten to August yet. And I mean, the next show that we'll be predicting is the Great American Bash for NXT, and reviewing that. Dude, for me, and I'll give you a hot take, because you mentioned hot take earlier for this upcoming show. With Rhea going on NXT and saying, hey, Carmelo, don't get involved in Judgment Day business again. I would love to see Carmelo Hayes, like we saw it on Raw. I'd love to see Carmelo Hayes and Finn Balor for the NXT champion. One of the longest reigning NXT championships comes back home to challenge Carmelo Hayes. I'm just putting that hot take out there.
I like that take. Now, we obviously know all the winners for every match.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to go back and change one of those winners for any of these matches, what match would you change, and who would be the winner?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I think every outcome was correct. Oh yeah. Man, if I had to pick one, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I think everyone none. I'm gonna put it bluntly, none. I gotta go none. But if I had to pick one, maybe the tag match with the heel turn. I knew it was coming, because I think the chase for Liv and Raquel, but really none. But if I had to pick one, it would be the women's tag match. What would be yours?
As we said, I'm just going with the fans here.
Okay.
Damon deserved it.
Yes.
But I would give it to LA Knight.
Yeah.
I have said this, and I guess we can even review the media scrum.
Sure.
Right. I know what Hunter said about, good things happen to the people that wait. How long are we gonna wait though? Because it's funny because I spoke to Ryback today. He has like the call-in stuff, and we were speaking about this as well. Good things happen to those who wait. How long are you going to make LA wait? Because this has been talked about. He's not getting any younger.
Mm-hmm.
And people can only stay glued onto someone for so long. So when Hunter said the good things happen to those who wait and stuff, but how long are we going to wait? Because LA is hot right now. who's to say we're still going to be supporting? Not we're always going to be supporting him, but who's to say he's still going to be hot in September, October, November, December, right? I think, and I feel like this is the mistake that WWE makes quite frequently, is that they don't take advantage of a star when he's hot. He's hot right now. WWE might not have plans for him until January of 2024. Is he going to be hot then? He's going to be a little bit older now. Like, if so I didn't really understand that. I felt like, I know he said that, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't agree with his take. I think give it to someone when they're hot. Kind of reminds me of James Ellsworth. He was hot as a jobber, and next thing you know, he got hired. That was an example of WWE listening to the fans. Everyone got behind James as an enhancement talent and changed his life completely. Signed to WWE, right? And I feel like when someone's hot, give them to us, right? Don't wait, because we're not gonna latch on to someone for so long. And I don't know. I feel like they should just invest all in on him now, and maybe when it dies down, it dies down. But everyone's on his wave right now, and it's kind of sad that WWE's kind of like, yeah, whatever, like, doesn't really matter. So I don't know. That's my take on that and what Hunter said about LA Knight.
Man, it's a tough one here because, I mean, if you look at the stars that got into the business late, like DDP and WCW, he was like in his mid 30s to 40s when he's like wrestling Savage for the WCW title. He is older. Batista was another one when he started with Evolution, made his way to the World Heavyweight title. I mean, with where he is, I think he can constantly reinvent himself, and I think he'll be just fine. He's one of those guys that reminds me, like people talk about how Roddy Piper should have won the world title or should have been a world champion. Man didn't need a title because he was just over. He could talk and he can make you invest. I look at him like a Piper. I look at him like a Rock. I look at him like anybody because he just has such the gift of gab. Ellsworth is a case of he wrestled Braun Strowman. They liked him, and he became this funny character with Carmella and everything that went into that. He put his heart and soul into that. There's no doubting that. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. I hear where Triple H is coming from, but I'm again where LA Knight was with that match with Bray Wyatt, and we haven't seen Bray Wyatt in a while. I mean, he came out like gangbusters right after that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I mean, with everything like we're talking about the scrum here, like Seth put over Carmelo Hayes and the man he trained, Nathan Fraser. I mean, he could tell he was hurt after that. I think everybody came off well in the media scrum, like not the media scrum, but the press conference. I'm not even going to call it media scrum. Yeah, but I hate that name. I'm just going to put it out there. Yeah, it's a press conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But I thought how everything was handled was very well. And God, you know you're getting there when Triple H is coming out there with his glasses and reading the gross amount and stuff. Oh, yeah.
That's when you know you're getting old. Yeah, I even just seen that. Between that and seeing just Cena come out and slowly running into the ring, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but no, I mean, from what everything was just so done professionally and in a spectacular fashion and applying their craft in amazing fashion, like everything from top to bottom to where we got with the press conference. Yeah, that's it. Just I can't say nothing. Like I said, you can see the smile on my face. I can't just say anything but good things about this pay-per-view. And again, AEW is going to Wembley, so I look to see how they do when we get to August and we're covering that show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that as well. I think Money in the Bank, WWE in general, just doing so well in London on Saturday puts a huge chip on Tony Khan's shoulder, and he has to deliver, because if he doesn't, the debate is up there again on who's better and who took over London better. I mean, WWE definitely showed out, made a statement, and in August it's Tony's turn to see how he rebuttals that. So I'm very excited. We will be covering that show as well. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, Wembley Stadium. I mean, what else? I mean, that's, I don't know, man, and that's something you have to live up to. I mean, that's not an arena; it's a stadium. So I hope. I said this when it was first announced. I'll say it again. I hope Tony knows what he got himself into. Because it's a stadium. I like, and it's Wembley Stadium. It's not just a normal stadium. That stadium just in general has history in it. And obviously Tony already made history with the ticket sales and all this and that. But you I think he forgot that you still have Showtime. You still have matches. You still have to produce that entire night. So I'm excited about that. But like I said in the past, I hope he knows what he got himself into. And I think the pressure was already on. But after Saturday, you cannot mess up not one match on your card, because every match from start to finish on Saturday was a 10 out of 10. I'll say this with the exception of Cody and Dominic, which was like a filler said. Uh, every other match 10 out of 10. So I feel like Tony in August cannot even mess up one match. Not even one match could be bad. Because if it is, I just think WWE wins in general in one.
I'll agree. And I think the last thing I'll say about the AEW thing, I mean, you could tell like where the two matches that they're going with is obviously MJF and Adam Cole.
Yep.
And it's going to be a first time ever. I mean, we've seen it now in tags, but it's to get them finally one-on-one. They're going with Jericho and Sting in the UK. So,
yep.
We'll see.
I agree. To wrap up here, I mean, if I had to give this show a rate, to me was definitely a 10 out of 10, start to finish. Like I said, with the exception of Cody and Dominic with the filler match, that entire show was amazing. 10 out of 10.
I agree. 10 out of 10. I mean, I'll give it not even just an A plus, an A plus, just right down the line. It was so good.
I agree. It was awesome. I loved it. Love doing the reviews and the previews. As you mentioned, the next time you guys will see us preview a pay-per-view will be for NXT's
Great American Bash.
Great American Bash, and I think that's July 29th, I believe.
29th or 30th. That's the end of July.
Yeah, end of July, guys. And this will probably be up after 4th of July. I'm thinking maybe the day after. So, guys, enjoy your 4th of July. Or I hope you guys enjoyed your 4th of July.
And be safe and don't be stupid.
I agree. Keep your hands safe. We're working on interviews. I miss interviewing talent. We're working on it. We're trying to get some stuff done. In the meantime, enjoy our review of Money in the Bank from the O2 Arena. Other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.